truly honored to be bringing you another riveting conversation here on the Meet Your Mentor TV show. This show is dedicated to sharing with young people some of the most inspiring success stories of our time, stories that will guide you on your own path to success. And I'm proud to be your host. My name is Daniela Asariedu. We're coming to you from the Central University Mataheko branch. My outfit was made by Millie K Garments, my makeup by Nordi's Makeup, and we're being supported by Cheesy Pizza. I'm going to introduce my guest to you, but right after this break. You're welcome back. Today on the show, we're having a conversation with an educationist, a chartered management consultant, a chartered professional administration consultant, a politician, a philanthropist, who's currently a technical economic advisor at the office of the Vice President of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is Dr. Samuel S.K Frimpong. Please. Hello. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Frimpong, for allowing us to have this conversation.
You're
First of all,
welcome.
I'd like you to take us through your professional journey. Can you take us through your professional journey?
Okay, so after school, I did my national service at the Office of the Vice President, Office of the President. By then, it was President Kufuor administration. But I worked directly under the late Vice President Alhaji Aliu Mahama. So I did my service with him. And after my national service, he retained me to work with him as one of his aides until 2008 when he left office. So when he left office, I also went out for my education to continue my education. And when I came back, I worked with a Chinese company. From there, it's called Nanjing Wonders, and from there, I joined Sikkim Manipal University, which is now called Academic City College, as a lecturer. And from Academic City College, I proceeded to University for Professional Studies, UPSA, where I lectured there till I got this current appointment as a technical economic advisor at the Office of the President, specifically the Vice President's Secretariat. Okay,
that's definitely a rich history. Can you tell us what background you came from, or what kind of upbringing you had, that, and what effect or how that had shaped you into the man you are today?
Yeah, I started my life journey from a small community. It's a little bit bigger now. I mean, it was a small community those days, and that's called Amejope in the Volta region. I was born in Accra here though, but when I was about 3 years old, I was taken to Amejope to stay with my grandmom. So that's why I schooled. I had my primary education at Amejope in the Volta region. From there, I proceeded to Bankwe PGSS in Ho. Then I would do my secondary school. And then from there, I went to UDS, Nyankpala campus. So education-wise, in brief, that has been my education journey before I went outside for my master's and PhD. But back to your question, the community that I stayed, or where I grew up, actually helped me a lot. That's Damejope. My grandmom used to tell me a lot that for them, they don't have what they call cocoa or gold. What is their gold and what is their cocoa is education. So I had to take my education seriously because when I was young, going to school, I didn't want to go to school. I remember very well that during the rainy season, we always pray and hope that it rains so that we don't go to school. So she used to encourage me. And that is how come I got to realize that it's important that I take my education seriously. And that's what has shaped me to what I've become today. Because I look at where I came from, I look at my background, and I realized that I have to build a future for myself and a future for my family as well. So it's important that I take life easy but seriously with all kind of determination and discipline. And that is what has helped me to get to where I am.
Right. You've shared with us a bit or you've hinted to us a bit of the values that have guided you, especially looking at where you came from. Professional-wise, if you were to share with us some of the very big professional lessons you have picked up throughout your journey, what would that be?
It will be discipline and determination, and truthfulness. That's one thing I've realized. Because in a professional career, professional life, there are a lot of challenges. You don't always get things smoothly as you think or you assume. Sometimes we think that after school, once I get a job, everything is fine. I mean, I'll be okay. But it's not easy out there. There are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of ups and downs. But once you are focused, you know where you are getting to. You know your career goal, and you work towards it with discipline and determination, you'll be able to get there. So those are the values that have always kept me to this stage.
I'd like you to share with us a bit of what you do at the Office of the Vice President. What exactly do you do as a technical economic advisor?
Okay, so I'm part of a team that work with the Vice President. His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia, as we might all know, is the head of economic management team. Okay. So he's in charge of the economy, managing the economy. That's the role that the President has given him, even though the President is the ultimate person in charge of the country and its economic related issues. But the Vice President chairs the economic management team. So I work with a team that we support him in delivering his mandate. We helped with research, we helped with policy formulation, and we help with the things that he assigned us to do. Okay. We don't work for ourselves, we work for him, we work based on his direction and the directives that he gives. So that is what I do. So I work with a team that helps in achieving the objective of the Vice President. I
saw an article in which you spoke about the NAPCO program. So I'm assuming that you also engage in a lot of policies that have to do with the youth and youth employment, etc. From where you sit, what do you think the issue is when it comes to employment or unemployment issues in this country?
When it comes to the issue of unemployment, it's quite tricky and quite challenging. I say so because we find ourselves in an environment, in a culture, that we assume that you only consider yourself employed if you're working for the government. Yeah. So people work even within the private sector, and if you ask them, where are you working, they said, I'm not working. Because they assume that the only way to be considered employed is when you're working for the government. So it's a little bit of a tricky question. Like you rightly said, I worked with a colleague of mine on the NAPCO policy. It's a policy that was brought by the government of the day to help solve the unemployment issue, because we realize that we have a lot of graduates who are done with their national service, but they are home and they're not doing anything. So the president thought it wise that we come up with a program that will help engage them and also to give them experience. Because most of the times when you're going to look for a job, they ask for working experience. Yeah. But the question is, who should first employ someone, train the person, give the person experience before you go and poach that person. That's right. So the government said, okay, if agencies, organizations are not willing to recruit or employ fresh graduates, then he will do that, give them the needed experience, the needed training, then they can move on to work at places that they deem or they aspire to work with. So that is how come we came up with the NAPCO program to engage the unemployed youth. And like we all know, we've engaged over 100,000. I say over 100,000 because the program is such a way that if you enroll on the program and you get a permanent job opportunity, you leave. So you exit and someone else replaces. Okay. So that's why I said we've engaged over 100,000. But at the time, the program is designed to take 100,000 unemployed graduates. So unemployment is a challenge to us that as much as possible, as a government, we try to resolve. But again, I said that it's difficult to get a full statistics of the unemployed because of the assumption of what employment is in Ghana here. And the youth are the key people of this nation. We drive the growth and the development of this country. So if the youth are not employed, if they are not engaged in jobs that will help with the development of the country, then it becomes a challenge. Now, if you graduate from school and you don't get a job to do, there's also becomes a challenge. Then the question is, why did you go to school? Because school is supposed to shape you, education is supposed to shape you and prepare you for the job market. So I think that it's important we look at the issue holistically, the issue of unemployment.
This has been an enlightening conversation so far. We'll take a quick breather. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back. This is the Meet Your Mentor TV show. My name is Daniela. We're having a conversation with a technical economic advisor at the office of the Vice President, Dr. S.K Frimpong. Thank you once again for allowing us to do this. We understand that you're into ministry as well as politics. Now, those two areas are quite, in very different worlds. How have you married the two? How difficult or how easy has it been to be a politician and a man of God?
Anyway, thank you. You reminded me of those days in school. Back in the university when my colleagues used to call me pastor politician. Because a lot of people do not really understand why you should say that you are serving God at the same time also doing politics. But I think it's all about the negative perception we have about politics. We assume that politics is evil, and we assume that religion is good. So we can't just foresee religion and politics, which is good and evil, coming together. But I think that is a wrong perception. Okay. Politics is about service. Okay. Religion is also about service. So we are all in the same field. We are all doing the same thing. It is just a different name that is given to it, and the way it is manifested and the way it is practiced, which is quite different. Otherwise, we are all trying to see how best we can better the life of people. So I don't see any difference in it. I preach the word of God for people to be saved. At the same time, I also practice what I preach when it comes to politics, because I'm there to serve people. When people say that politics is evil because they assume of the evil, the juju, and those kind of things, I say that it's all over. It's in every profession. Just tell me what you think about politics. What kind of things you think happens in politics, for which reason you think politics is bad, and compare to any other profession. See if that thing doesn't happen in that profession. And I always say that even in religion, people envy each other. True. There are people who feel that this senior pastor is becoming more popular than I am. Let me bring him or her down. It happens even in the church. It happens in the ministry. And the same thing happens in our profession. I worked in the corporate body before. I know how it works there. You have a director, you have a deputy director. You even wish the director dead so that you take up his position. So how different is that from politics? And people say politicians lie. But interestingly enough, we all lie. People lie all the time. And it's not only politicians. The only thing is that that of the politician is said on stage. It's assumed that it's being said on stage at rallies, that everybody hears about it. But what's the difference between what is said in public and what is said in private? They are all lies. It's the same thing. We lie in our organization. We still, there's a politician still, but we also work for people, and we still, I'm not justifying it. Right. It is wrong. What is wrong anywhere is wrong everywhere. So it is wrong, and that's the point I'm trying to make. So for me, when people talk about politics and religion, they feel that, you're a fine gentleman, a Christian, why are you doing politics? And I'm like, is politics meant for evil people? Is politics meant for bad people? And what is politics? They are the people who are going to govern you. So if you sit down and you say that, look, I'm a clean person, politics is dirty, I'm not going to do it, then you're allowing the dirty people, the perceived dirty people to go and do it, and don't make the rules for you. And you, the clean person, you're supposed to abide by that rule. And I believe that there's no difference. It's all about service. It's all about you, the person that is serving. That you have to make sure that you serve right, either in the church or in the political world. Right.
Let me put you on the spot. What's your perception about politics in this country?
Politics in this country, my perception is the fact that people think as a politician you're capable of doing everything, including changing a man into a woman. that is how I've seen. And I think that is a very bad perception. Because for that reason, if you need a job now, you assume that if you don't get a politician to help you, you won't get that job. Okay. Whilst it is not always like that. So I think that And that's the reason why sometimes we think politicians have disappointed us, because of the expectations that we have. And some of these expectations are beyond them. And because some of them will not tell you that this is beyond me, once the expectation is not met, you assume that the person has deceived you or the person has disappointed you. So I think that it's important we see politicians as people in public service. So they are there to serve. And as we see them as people in public service, our expectations will not be that much. And if those expectations are not met, we will not be so much disappointed.
If any young person in our audience today said they wanted to go into politics, what would you tell them?
I'll say it's a good thing. I mean, it would be bad for me to say that it's not good. I started politics whilst I was young, back from my university days. I started student politics. I mean, I was USAC president, and from there, TESCOM president. So I've been in politics whilst I was young. Okay. And anyway, I'm still young anyway. So it would be wrong for me to say that a young person should not go into politics. But the only thing I would say is don't go into politics with a bad mindset. If I say a bad mindset, don't go into politics with a mindset of going to make money. Yes, which is very, very important. Because if you have that mindset, when you go in, all that you're thinking about is how to make the money. And if you're not careful, you will fall into a bad trap, and that will also affect you for life. So go in with a mindset that you have the passion for that, for the politics, you have the passion to serve. And in respect of what people say or think, once you know you're on the right path, you just go in to do it. So for me, and for any young person who wants to go into politics.
Has your journey been successful throughout? I'm sure that you can share with us some very low moment in your life, or moments where you felt that this, maybe not a failure, but you haven't been able to accomplish a certain goal or target. Can you share that with us?
Yes, life, no matter how it is never smooth. I mean, there are challenges, and I believe that the challenges are there for two reasons. One is to give us the needed experience in life, because if you don't have any challenge, you will not have any experience to share. You don't have any testimony to share. And the second thing I believe is also for God to manifest His power in our lives. Because if there are no challenges, how will you know that this has been done by the grace of God and not by your own strength? Yeah. So my life has also been same, and it's been quite challenging. You could see where I started my education. And I remember when I finished SS, at a point, I was scared I would not be able to continue again. Because of the academic challenge that I had. Academic challenge in the sense that the elective that I chose, when I wanted admission to the university, I was told that those electives are considered to be 2 instead of 3, and therefore I do not meet the criteria. And I didn't know, because as at the time I graduated from the university, you have to stay at home for about 2 years before you go to university. So I stayed home for the 2 years, hoping that I'll go, and just for me to be told that no, you do not meet the criteria. I have the option of going back to write another elective that I do not study to make up for the 3 electives. So education-wise, it will be quite challenging, but by the grace of God, I've been able to sail through to my PhD level. Professionally, it's been so. I mean, the fact I did my national service and I worked with the former vice president, the late vice president, Alhaji Aliyu Mahama. It didn't mean that everything was smooth for me. I mean, it had its own challenging moments, and it's been ups and downs, because sometimes you occupy a position, people think that you're too young to occupy that position, should have been me, and they try to do all kind of things to set you up, to also prove that you're not capable, you're not competent enough, and it's left to you. So sometimes, because you don't expect or you don't see those things, you fall into it, but it's left to you to rise up again and say, no, I'm not going to remain here. I have to rise up and move on. So I also had my few ups and downs, both professionally and academic-wise. But like I said from the beginning, once you are determined, you have a goal ahead of you. Once you are determined and you work towards that goal, you'll be able to achieve what you intended to.
If you had the opportunity to speak to the 20 or the 25-year-old you, what would you tell him? Well,
I'll tell that person, I mean, him or her, that it's very important that you take your education seriously. Education is the key. We've gotten to a stage that if you're not careful, a time will come. Like if you want to be a cleaner, they'll ask for your certificate.
Sure.
These days, wherever we want a job, they ask for your CV. And what goes on the CV is education. That's what will give you the working experience. So at the age of 25, I'll tell that person that this is the time that you are young, you are energetic, concentrate on your education. I was determined to make sure that I get all the necessary qualification, educational qualification by the age of 30. By the grace of God, I was able to work towards, I served the PhD that I had at the age of 31, which beats me by one. The reason being that once you have those qualifications, now you concentrate on building your career.
Okay.
So, because sometimes it's not easy, sure. Working and at the same time going to school.
Yeah.
At UPSA, I was lecturing graduate students, and I saw how tedious it was. Because in the evening, they'll go to work, close, and now come to school, because that's the time they're chasing their masters. Now, you want to master at that level, so you go to work. If you're a family, if you're a woman, maybe you have kids, you're married, you have kids, you have to take care of the family. If you're a man, the same. And combined with education, very, very stressful.
Yes.
So if you're young, less than 25, that is the time you're supposed to take your education sets and build yourself, build your capacity, and prepare yourself to launch into the future. And I also say that we should not just be chasing non-existing jobs. Entrepreneurship is very, very important. I've always encouraged people to learn to be your own. There's always something that I tell the final year student for the past 7 years that I was lecturing. And I always ask them, have you ever seen any wealthy person or a very rich person that works for anyone? You can think all over the world. All the rich people, there are people who work for them. They don't work for anyone.
Wow. This has been absolutely enlightening. Thank you so much, Dr. Frimpong, for giving us the opportunity to do this. We'll take a couple of questions from our audience.
Okay, Dr. Frimpong, please, for your position at the Vice Presidency, do you have an upcoming policy for young entrepreneurs who are looking forward to making it in the job market?
As a government, I won't say where I work because we work as a team, we work as a government. As a government, we have a lot of policies, a lot of support for entrepreneurs. We have agencies that are dedicated towards that. We have National Youth Entrepreneurship Program, for instance, that supports people who want to go into business, young entrepreneurs. We also have venture capital, which is also there, assisting those who want to go into business, depending on the kind of business that you want to do. NAPCO, as she mentioned, within the NAPCO framework, we also have some aspects. We have what we call the exit plan for the NAPCO. And as part of that exit plan, we will accept proposals of people who want to go into their own businesses, entrepreneurs. We assess it, and then the government will give you the needed support to be able to go into that business that you want to do. But with the NAPCO program, it will not be just an individual, to be a group of people. So we have all these policies there that are available to take advantage of. Unfortunately, because we don't research, we don't find out, we don't take advantage of some of these things that are available. But it has been there. The government has made provision. Every year we have budgetary allocation, money set aside for entrepreneurs to be able to have access to those things. Sometimes it's not just the physical cash that they'll give it. It may be an existing business, and they could come and give you free training. As part of the government package, you could be given training. They might want to expand your business by providing you with equipment and materials, the raw materials, and other things that you need.
Right. Thank you so much once again. This has been absolutely enlightening. If you haven't picked up anything at all, it is that you should take your education seriously. And of course, try venturing into entrepreneurship. It is definitely the future of the job market. Thank you so much for doing the viewing at home. My name is Daniela, and we came to you from Central University Matahiko campus. My outfit was made by Milike Garment in Darkoman. We're being supported by Cheesy Pizza, and my amazing makeup was done by Noddy's Makeup. Thank you once again, and we'll come your way same time next week with another inspiring conversation. Until then, do take care.